use hiding anymore.
Kazuha, Kazuha. It's you, at last.
Aha! So it is the same guy from before. What's your problem, huh? What could you possibly have against Kazuha?
Indeed, there should be no enmity between us. But what if instead of facing Ame no Mayuya, we are in fact facing the blade in his hand?
Now that you mention it, it is... Whoa!
Tatarigami energy often lodges itself within physical objects, then works to subtly affect any living organisms in its vicinity. The blade has resided in Mr. Nagato's warehouse for many years, affecting his state of mind, and more recently using the sale as a means to affect, or rather as a means to occupy, Ame no Mayuya's body.
You're sharper than I thought. You've already deduced the truth of the matter. Many, many years ago, I was forged by a famed bladesmith of the Ishin tradition as a descendant of the Kaidehara clan.
I presume it has something to do with the Raiden Gokaden.
Indeed. At that point in time, he failed to live up to the Raiden Shogun's expectations. In the end, all he could do was to flee the nation by... He was a bladesmith of great renown, a master of his craft. And sure enough, in the end, he achieved what he had set out to do. All of his life's work, his wisdom, his skill. He not only bestowed upon me the greatest of strength. In her conceit, the Raiden Shogun lost not only the single most perfect blade in the entire world, but also an irreplaceable achievement in the art of blade forging.
So... swords?
The people of the time in which I was born never believed I had that kind of power. They saw me as a mere blade. After the death of my creator, I decided to leave Snezhnaya and began my long quest to return to the I seek but one thing: to face the full force of the Raiden Shogun's blade and prove my power.
So Ame no Mayuya was not your first victim. Tell me, what happens to those you've possessed when you've finished using them?
My hosts? Who cares what happens to them? When they got tired, or injured, or unusable,
You're awful!
After I returned to Inazuma, I decided to bide my time in Nagato's at long last. I'm approaching my journey's destination. Kaidehara Kazuha, you stood against the Raiden Shogun's Muso no... Now, give your body over to me!
Flash!
We shall rewrite history!
Grow!
Join me and sever that divine light!
Quiver!
We shall rewrite history!
Flash!
The wind knows it.
Shall rewrite history! Do not stand in my way, or I will strike you down too!
Your bluff's fooling no...
Lost. I can never lose. It is even if you defeat me here, the one who falls will not be me, but this man. He is but a puppet that can be replaced. I can take a new vessel at will. The end result is the same. I will end this wretch's life before you can lift a finger. And even if I were to lose my physical form, it is but a small setback. My consciousness by any means necessary, and any medium available, I shall return and fulfill my destiny!
Your fighting style. It is indeed the forms of Ishin art. But from your movements, I sense only hatred and arrogance, as well as a thinly veiled mania and despair.
Really? You can tell all that just from his moves?
As I've mentioned before, the forms of Ishin art convey the user's thoughts and feelings. Since the blade is currently possessing Aminome Yuya's body, its movements express the innermost thoughts of the blade. If you ask me, the mania is probably due to your desperate, single-minded ambition. You believe I am your only hope.
Are you trying to claim that I am helpless without you? On his deathbed, he passed to me all of Ishin Art's secrets. The little that you know barely scratches the surface. In that regard, why would I ever need your help?
Because all of that is in the past. I've been wondering why you've not caused more trouble in all the years that you've been in Inazuma. If you are indeed a cursed blade that can possess its owner. Now that I've seen inside your mind, everything finally makes sense. You weren't biding your time. You were trapped. After all the time that's passed, you have grown weak. To the point that you are now unable to acquire a new host without making physical contact.
Oh, that's right. Paimon remembers now. Mr. Nagato had a habit of never touching his collectibles.
Only when Mr. Nagato witnessed his wife's distress and decided to sell his collectibles did you finally have an opportunity to reach out to Aminome Yuya and make your escape.
And what of it?
Well, that brings me to my second point. There's a despair in you that is so strong it threatens to overwhelm you. You were determined to fulfill your maker's ambition, whatever the cost. But this ambition is too grand and too heavy for you to bear. Each step you have taken has come at a great cost. I think you realized your limitations long ago. The more you clenched your teeth and pressed forward, the greater your fear of losing everything you had achieved grew, and the more you wished to run from the truth. But the way I see it, what began as an ambition has long since become a delusional fantasy.
What would you know about any of this? I'm just one step away from achieving my goal.
You returned to Inazuma to prove the unparalleled brilliance of Ishin art. But to make this arduous journey, you committed countless atrocities and showed a blatant disregard for human life. Even if you were to sever that divine light, is this truly the outcome that your maker would have desired?
You...
Sure, you inherited the secrets of Ishin art. But even as you made your journey to honor this legacy, you treated the ones who wielded you as mere tools to do your bidding. How could you possibly unleash the full potential of Ishin art when you act in perfect discordance with the principle of harmony between a blade and its bearer?
Silence, you blabbering fool! I must achieve my goal. This was his life's dream, and the very purpose for which I was brought into being. I will concede that you are most perceptive. You see my predicament clearly. But you also underestimate my resolve.
And you should face reality.
Easy for you to say. Facing reality offers me nothing. I have no need of anything that would stand in my way. Not hesitation, not self-reflection, and certainly not your so-called reality. It is pointless to argue further, descendant of the Kaedahara clan. If you wish to save this man, then offer me your body in exchange.
How stubbornly you stick to your wayward path. I do not believe for a second that you can challenge the almighty Shogun in your current state. So let us make a bet, and I will put your strength to the test.
What? Surely you're not planning to agree to his demands.
Very well. Then find yourself some enemies with whom you wish to cross blades. A taste of my power will more than convince you. Once we have dealt with them, we shall proceed to Tenshukaku.
And as for your end of the bargain, if you lose, you must release Aminome Yuya from your control.
I accept.